What do you think about Minister Farrakhan coming to New York?
I think it's great, brother. I was here in '85 and I couldn't get in, and I'm glad I got the opportunity to get in this time, you know, because I believe that he's the only true voice that black people have here in America.
I think it's a wonderful thing he's doing. He's always been there to try to help all of us. And for him to come to New York, I think it's the best thing in the world. I hope a lot of young brothers and sisters come out to see him. Young meaning 16 to 20, and the older ones, hopefully they've heard of him. But I've spoken to a lot of young teenagers and they haven't heard of him. So hopefully with the flyers and the final call out, they will have heard about him, and hopefully they will come and see him and get inspired.
He's doing his job. And as a result of him doing his job, he's waking up a lot of black men who are asleep.
I think it's a wonderful thing. I just hope a lot of people come out and pay attention and listen to what he has to say. I'm so excited. This is the first time I'm going to hear him speak live in person. I listen to him every Sunday on WBLS for an hour, and I'm just so excited to be here. And I hope everybody enjoys the speech. I think he's a wonderful person.
What do you think about Minister Farrakhan coming to New York?
Well, I think it's a great move. I think that New York could stand to listen to his voice of reason in view of the fact that we have so many problems in New York. And I think that his presence is a good move, and I think it will be well welcomed.
I think Minister Farrakhan's coming to New York City is long overdue, considering the state of affairs in New York. He's long overdue. And I pray that he'll be able to come back again, and I pray that this will do the job. This should have been done a long time ago.
We need the brother, you know what I'm saying? It's positive.
I feel it's a blessing in New York City to embrace the presence of Minister Farrakhan. It's long overdue. We need a healing message and stop the killing message, and he's the man to do the job.
That's right. You, my dear sister?
I feel the exact same way. I think he should come here much more often. He is definitely needed here with all the violence, the black-on-black crime, the racism, all the crime in general, the drugs. Farrakhan is definitely the man to deliver the kind of message that we need.
Brothers and sisters, we're thankful for your presence this afternoon. And to move into the program, we now want to bring forth a sister who is a strong fighter for black people. You know her, and I know her. She's run for just about every office in this country, and she keeps on running because she believes in fighting for the dignity of our people. Let us welcome and receive Sister Dr. Lenora Fulani with a warm round of applause.
Right on. Assalamu alaikum. We've all come out today to address the most serious problem that's killing our black youth and our communities, the issue of violence. There are some black leaders who are urging that the way to deal with the crisis is to teach our young people to turn one another into the proper, or we should say improper, authorities. To turn in those who may be dealing drugs, using weapons, or committing crimes. I violently disagree with this position. In my opinion, the black community has to concern itself less with who it turns in and concern itself more with who it turns out. We've got to turn out those who thrive on violence and killing our people. We have to turn out those who benefit from the killing, kick them out of our communities. We've got to turn out those who manipulate our fears for their own political gain. We need to kick them out. There are wealthy power brokers in this country who are making millions off of our kids doing crack. There are corrupt, low-down, murdering police officers living in style by confiscating and reselling guns and drugs while our kids go to jail and the politicians turn their heads. And there are black leaders, my dear brothers and sisters, I repeat, black leaders who maintain their positions of power in the Democratic Party by exploiting our despair and our powerlessness while they bow down to the Zionist elements who still maintain undue influence in the city and the corporate elements who dominate the country because they don't have the guts enough to stand up and tell them to get up off of our backs. The issue, my dear sisters and brothers, is whether you will have the courage and the intelligence to stand up on behalf of our people, to turn out the Judases amongst us, to stand up with those black leaders who strive to be independent of the corruption and independent of the manipulation that goes on. Leaders such as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, leaders such as Reverend Al Sharpton, and leaders such as myself. Minister Farrakhan has agreed and insisted that there are solutions to the violence crisis. The Nation of Islam has demonstrated some of those solutions. Activists and leaders with whom I work here in New York have created program after program that have been successful in dealing with issues of violence. But these solutions are denied and in many cases attacked because the leaders who have generated them are independent. So the challenge to our people is, are you going to follow the independent road, which will take us to the end of this vicious murder and violence? Or will you once again agree to adopt a Democratic or Republican-controlled approach that is more about power and privilege for the few than about dealing with violence in our communities? For Minister Farrakhan, it is always the community that has come first. It is his commitment to our people that has allowed him to accomplish so very much. This is why the Congressional Black Caucus has reached out to him, as well they should. I am very proud and honored as a black woman, as a mother, as an African American leader, to be walking this road with our dear brother. It is leaders like him who must be respected and must be followed, and we have to kick the Judases out. Power to our people, and welcome to Minister Louis Farrakhan. Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Dr. Fulani, brothers and sisters. Strong black woman in the struggle. We can't forget our black women. They are an integral part of the struggle of our people. Brothers and sisters, we have dignitaries from the Nation of Islam, all over the Nation of Islam, with us this afternoon, and we want to welcome them to New York. We have our national spokesman, a brother that many of you know and love, from Washington, D.C., the national representative of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, Brother Minister Abdul Alim Muhammad. Let's give him a special hand. We have with us a wife of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, a wonderful sister and teacher, a First Lady of the Nation of Islam, and we must all recognize the great contribution of this great woman, Sister Tainetta Muhammad. Let us stand and give her a warm round of applause. We have all of the regional ministers of the Honorable Louis Farrakhan from the north, from the south, the east, and the west. They have all come today to stand with us here in New York City with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Please give them a special hand, all of the regional ministers and officials of the Nation of Islam. Now, moving very quickly, because we are all anxiously awaiting the arrival of Minister Farrakhan to say to us, stop the killing. You know, this is a very special and important subject, brothers and sisters. with all of the killings in New York, with all of the murder, New York needs a man like the Honorable Louis Farrakhan to come in and say, stop the killing, to the masses that will listen to him. But unfortunately, a lot of the people who are not here today did not want him in the city. But I think by your presence today, you want him in the city. Is that right or wrong? As much killings that are going on now, all people should welcome him to the city. Black, white, brown, red, and yellow. Regardless of race, religion, creed, or color, everyone needs to hear this life-giving, life-saving, and life-enriching message that we will hear this afternoon. And so now, brothers and sisters, moving right along, we have a very special guest with us today. He's a brother from the NAACP. Let's give him a hand, and I will introduce him. Let's give the NAACP a hand, brothers and sisters. Not only the NAACP, but let us recognize that for years our enemies have sought to keep us divided one from the other. Our enemies did not let Dr. King meet the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Our enemies kept Booker T. Washington and W.E.B. Du Bois fighting with each other. Malcolm X and Dr. King only met one time. We've got to end this isolation. We've got to end this standing off on the sidelines. We've got to stand with each other, regardless to your religion or your persuasion or your philosophy. We are all black people catching hell in racist white America. That's a cause for us all to stand together on. All praise is due to Allah. And so when you see the NAACP and the Nation of Islam standing together, many of those that sought to keep us divided are turning over in their graves right now, but we are together standing as one. And so representing the great leader of the NAACP, Reverend Dr. Benjamin Chavis, we have with us a familiar hometown son, Brother Don Rojas, formerly of the Amsterdam News. Let's bring on Don Rojas representing the NAACP.
Brother Conrad Mohammed, Honorable Minister Elijah Muhammad, Minister Louis Farrakhan, distinguished guests, dear sisters and brothers, I bring you fraternal greetings from the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People and from its leader, Dr. Benjamin F. Chavis, Jr., who unfortunately will not be present physically here today, but his spirit is in our midst. And we from the NAACP are here in the spirit of unity and solidarity to add our voice to the growing demand for an end to the killing and the violence, to the fratricide and the self-destruction in communities of color across this land and in countries of color across this world of ours. We say today with the Honorable Minister Farrakhan, stop the killing from the streets of Harlem and Bed-Stuy and Crown Heights here in New York, the streets of South Central Los Angeles and the streets of South Chicago, to the streets of Angola and Somalia and Haiti. To the brothers and sisters with guns, we say, put down your weapons and pick up your books. Embrace each other, turn to each other in love and not on each other in hate. To the rulers of this society, we say, stop the senseless mass production and sale of weapons of destruction in the name of free enterprise, and instead begin the mass production of decent, well-paying jobs. As long as the massive joblessness in our communities exists, there will be massive hopelessness. The alienation and despair that we feel about ourselves and about each other is the result of our historical oppression, the result of racism, the result of social injustice and economic inequality, and not the result of anything that is intrinsically or inherently wrong with us. But never forget, sisters and brothers, that we are the sons and daughters of a mighty people, and we can overcome all adversity, all obstacles, all difficulties. We can accomplish anything we set our minds to if we unite our efforts, our forces, our wills, our minds, and our hearts. And to the detractors and the naysayers, to the cynics and the disbelievers, we in the NAACP say that no individual, no organization, no force will prevent us from moving forward on this path of unity and cooperation with other organizations of African people, with other organizations of color here and abroad. For we are one people with one common struggle and one destiny. Let us continue to move forward ever, backward never. Thank you, sisters and brothers.
The NAACP and the Nation of Islam, one family. All praise is due to Allah. Brothers and sisters, we have on the rostrum with us, and she deserves a special hand, our New York's own doctor, physician, and freedom fighter, Sister Dr. Barbara Justice. Give her a hand. And a member of the Nation of Islam, our own beloved Dr. Barbara Justice. We have with us today a gentleman that's been a friend of the Nation of Islam for many years. He deserves recognition and a special hand, Commissioner Neil Walsh. Let's give Commissioner Neil Walsh a hand. We have sitting in front of us someone that you all know and love. She is the head of the National Black Theater. She is a giant in Harlem and in New York City, Sister Barbara Ann Tier. Let's give her a hand. Brothers and sisters, many of you are night owls. You stay up late at night listening to consciousness, listening to talk radio. And there's not a man in New York or the country that is more listened to late at night than the next brother that I'm about to bring on. He's our brother, he's our friend, he's a fighter for the community. He's Bob Law. Let's bring him on from WWRL radio station Night Talk.
2 minutes, don't worry. Thank you very much. I'm real pleased to be here with you this Saturday afternoon. We have come searching for solutions. We support Minister Louis Farrakhan in this effort to stop the killing. My concern, as you know, is that there are people around the country who are expressing a fear and a desperation. I understand their desperation. I understand their frustration. They are calling for police, for the National Guard, for stiffer penalties, for more prisons. I understand their fear. I understand their frustration, but I understand also that leadership based on fear and frustration is insufficient. This generation is in need of, literally demands, a visionary leadership. We need a leadership that is competent to the challenges of the 21st century. We are here, I believe, because we understand that on a very profound level, it is a question of values. We've got to be able to get into the hearts and the heads of the brothers on the street. We've got to be able to redeem this generation, and I believe that we can. I hear people on radio stations and having press conferences and television talk shows, and they complain about young people. Their complaints are valid. But my concern is that the people who do the complaining are the very people who have never offered young people anything. Y'all can't clap. I got to do this quickly. We've got to begin to say to them, what have you offered young people that the young people rejected? It is not that everything we try fails. We haven't tried anything. This generation demands and deserves a visionary leadership. We must reclaim the hearts and minds of our youth. I believe that this struggle begins inside our heads. It is a value system. It is a God-centered, an African-centered, a family-centered value system that is going to redeem the hearts and minds of this generation. It is Mayat versus hip-hop in a very real sense. We've got to begin to talk to the hearts and minds of this generation. We support any initiative to stop the killing, but I recognize that this brother, Minister Farrakhan, is one of the people who has been able to reach the consciousness, been able to reach the heart. And for some reason, this brother is the brother who is ostracized, criticized, attacked, denied, and abandoned. Maybe it is because this brother is on the right track. Listen. I got to sit down. Here's what. I don't want you to come here today to be entertained by Farrakhan's greatest hits. I don't want you to come here today and treat this brother like an entertainer. I want you to come here prepared to go back into the street, assuming a responsibility to help us reach the minds of the brothers on the street. This struggle is one that we all must share. Don't y'all clap. Last thing. Y'all stop clapping. Last thing. Monday morning, we are going to begin faxing an open letter to black radio. I'm in radio, so I can say this. I've sent an open letter to black radio stations around the country, black music stations particularly, urging them to support our effort to reach the hearts of our young people. Young people, like it or not, are listening to music radio more than they listen to me, more than they listen to anybody else. As long as music radio has their ear, then music radio has a responsibility to say something of value. It's not just what they don't play. It is not just to stop playing negative lyrics. It's not what they don't, it's not what they say, it's also what they don't say. See, between the record, they could say, respect yourself. You know, between the record, they could say, men, keep your hands to yourself. Between the record, they could say something that is life-giving. We've got to challenge them to be a part of this struggle. Otherwise, you've got to turn them off. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brother Bob Law. Brothers and sisters, what kind of program would this be if we didn't have the youth represented? The youth have been some of the strongest backers of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Is that right or wrong? And the youth back him because they know in him they have a champion. They know they have a man that will not turn them down, a man that will not side against them with an enemy, and a man who will not sell them out. And so the youth love Farrakhan, and the Farrakhan loves the youth. And that's why in all of the rap music, you hear the language of the Nation of Islam. You hear Minister Farrakhan's voice over the records because the youth see value in this great man of God. And so now we want to bring forth brothers and sisters from the rap community. They will not rap today, but they will make a statement in solidarity with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. So we're asking Brother Freedom Williams to come forward, Brother Africa Bambaataa, and we have Sister Jennifer Perry, a writer from the Hip Hop Nation, all here to welcome the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan into New York City. Let's give them a hand, brothers and sisters.
Where's Brother Bambaataa? How are you? All peace to the nation of God's and earth. Assalamu alaikum. All praises due to Allah. Sister Jennifer Perry. I'm just here to manifest and represent for my brothers and sisters in the street who's dying. We getting killed by crack that we didn't put in the street. We getting shot by guns that we didn't buy in the candy store. And we being destroyed by television sets for the most part that we never programmed. So I'm just here to bear witness to show and prove that I'm striving every day to bring myself to a humbler position so that I can bear witness to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad through Minister Louis Farrakhan Muhammad. And I'm here to let you know that I can't do it alone, and it's not easy, and I need my people. You know what I'm about, but my new album's gonna come in 9/4, and I will drop bombs, and I will let my people know what time it is. I just want to again say I thank the Nation of Islam for being in existence, because without the Nation of Islam, man, I don't know what we do. Really, I can say that honestly. All praises due to Minister Louis Farrakhan when he knew at a certain point in his life he had to take the leadership position. And I see the beautiful sisters around in the white. I mean, what more can we ask for? That's all I gotta say. I mean, we try to find problems, we try to find the solutions to problems, and sometimes we find ourselves looking in the wrong directions. We look to these false leaders with this trick knowledge and these politics that they give us every day. And Minister Louis Farrakhan Muhammad has always spoken straight to us. I can never remember once when I've ever heard him tell me a lie through audio tape or through videotape. So I'm just saying to my young brothers and sisters out there, there is a way. There's something that we can do. I'm not saying you have to become a Muslim, but when the brother finishes speaking, maybe you might want to go buy his cassette. Maybe you might want to go buy a book, because you've got to constantly replenish your mind, because it's 94 and Giuliani's mayor. It's raw out here, man. You know what I'm saying? It's raw. He just hired this new commissioner from Boston. I lived in Boston. My brother went to Harvard. Them boys in Boston don't play, man. I'm gonna tell y'all right now. So when this new commissioner comes down here, it's 94, time to go to war, forget going on tour.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm standing up here, and from this view, the beautiful black faces out here, it's moving just to see all of you out here. I represent the hip-hop nation. I've worked with Brand Nubian, with Black Sheep, with Showbiz and AG, and various other brothers and sisters who are using the microphone to step up to the challenge and get done what we have to get done. I am tired of coming home and seeing the crack vials in front of my doorstep. I am tired of walking around and seeing these crackheads walking around like Night of the Living Dead. I am tired of trying to fall asleep and hearing the gunshots ring out everywhere, and me wondering if I'm gonna have to pick up mine and use it. I am tired of the violence around here. I'm tired of the inferior schools. I'm tired of the lack of health care. I'm tired of the fathers not being in home. I am tired of us sitting around waiting, asking, reaching, looking for someone else to do it instead of doing it ourselves, our own schools, our own hospitals, our own businesses, our own everything. We have 14 days until 1994. Will we even be here to see that? We have AIDS and several other created diseases out here to knock us down. We have a lot, and we have a strong leader who's going to come up here, who's going to tell you what no one else will tell you, who's going to come up here and give you solutions. But don't just sit here, take all this in, and walk out and feel like you did your part, like if you put a quarter in a homeless man's cup. That is not enough. Take it into our hands, do what we have to do. Let's get it done. The time is here. Stop the killing, heal the wounds. Let's do this.
Let's give the youth a hand. Africa Bambaataa, Freedom Williams, Jennifer Perry, Showbiz and AG, all of the rappers stand with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Brothers and sisters, moving right along, we want to bring forth now a brother that we all know and love. He's a man that we listen to every day on WLIB radio station. That's the beautiful thing about New York. It's the most conscious city in America. And some of the people that are helping to make it conscious are with us here today. And the brother that we'll bring on right now has certainly contributed greatly to making us conscious in this city. He is our Afrocentric black brother, Brother Imhotep Gary Bird.
Okay. Hotep. Assalamu alaikum. Akwaba. Al-Baragani. We came on a number of different ships, but we are in the same boat now. You have heard me announce that this month was African Family Month, and we had that on deck before we knew that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan was going to wind up coming to New York. And our theme, you all know, is we must come together. I have continually attempted to reiterate something that came to me years ago. There was an expression from the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and that expression was, if you want to form an organization, if you want to create unity, go first to the believers. Go first to the believers. The believers are here today at Jacob Javits Center, united. Brother Bob Law made the comment about black radio, and I know how he feels. We have to apologize for black radio quite often. Some years ago, I attempted to put together a piece, Stevie Wonder and myself. In 1982, there was an attempt to raise the consciousness of brothers and sisters to who we are, because that is a major part of the problem we see today. Our young brothers and sisters have not been told who they are. Many of us don't know who we are. And if you don't know where you came from, you can't know where you're going. Now, in that particular spirit, when we put this particular release out in 1982, black radio in America did not play it. And there are a host of other brothers and sisters trying to put out conscious and positive music who didn't get played either. This was 1982, 1983. 10 years later, we know what they did play. We are clear what the songs were that they put in the minds of our young brothers and sisters. So there's an expression in computer technology, garbage in, garbage out. Put garbage in the mind of a brother and sister 24 hours a day, what do you expect to happen? We have to teach these brothers and sisters that they are the people who wear the crown. They are the people who wear the crown. You wear the crown. I wear the crown. We are the people who wear the crown. Just a taste of who you are as a people. Now I need you to move a little bit for me. Let's get a groove going. It's music. It's Stevie Wonder. He put it down. Let me see you move a little bit. Come on. All right. Come on over here. What's up? All right. Come on. Let me see you all the way in the back. All right. We getting there. Yeah. Check it. People of the world, wherever you be, welcome to Afrocentricity, where the spirit stands and the art rules, and we drop the knowledge of the mystery school. My name is Imhotep, Gary Bird, master of the spoken word. Nana, Kwabata, Toku Abamazi, I'm a go-go and a bonzi. World griot, the raptivator, motivational communicator, dropping down the science of the soul with the greatest story never told. Global black experience is my tale, deeper than Shakespeare or the Holy Grail, because I know the roots that the rap is from. When I speak to you, I'm like a talking drum. Hear my rap and begin to dance, and I promise you this, you will advance. They say a mind is a terrible thing to waste. That's why I'm here and on the case. Make sure you know who you are and how you can make yourself a star. So clap your hands to the wonder sound as we show you why you wear the crown. You wear the crown. Come on. I wear the crown. We have to be so proud to say, so proud to say that we are the brothers and sisters who wear the crown. Now check it. Once upon a time in Al-Kabul lived the kings and queens who looked like you. It was a land of sun with a golden shine, a place that once was yours and mine. Home of many great dynasties who created science and astronomy, where the Greeks came to study math and the world found out about the past. Now, in case you wonder what else they did, the Akabulans created the pyramids, and before Napoleon could even blink, in Akabul there stood a giant sphinx. Some say they came from outer space, but they are the beginning of the human race. You know the place where they can be found. You may be the one who could wear the crown. You wear the crown. That's who we are, brothers and sisters. I wear the crown. And that's what they don't want you to know. They don't want you to know that you are the brothers and sisters who wear the crown. Think about it. I wear the crown. And you know, you wear the crown. You understand? But we've got to have the pride to know that we are indeed the people who wear the crown. One more. It goes a little bit like this. Check it. Not the greatest dancer with the baddest shoe, not the slickest rapper you ever knew, have worn the crown if they wanted to, but they'll want to until they die. Not a man of science with a PhD, not a lady of law, last first degree, will wear the crown unless they can see a unique reality. You see, when you say you wear this crown, make sure you know it is profound. In case it sounds like a mystery, I'm talking about our story. It can make Akhenaten nod to you, it can make Nefertiti back in you. With the crown you will begin to glow. When it's secret, you begin to know. Next time you feel like you're in a rut, go see the mighty kingdom of King Tut. It will blow your mind, no doubt it's true. Guess what? King Tut looks just like you. You were the celebrated queens of the Nile. The sun would wink when it saw your smile. You were the Hannibal of the history book, and the earth would tremble at your very look. You were the builders of the pyramids. You are the face up on the Sphinx. You rode on the Nile in grace and style. Look at yourself today and think. See the hieroglyphics up on the wall like the dancers on the floor. They will not fall. If you take one look, it will astound, and you will see you wear the crown. It is you, brothers and sisters. It is you. And all we have to do as a people is recognize that we come from a great legacy and a great heritage. I'm talking about a great legacy and a great heritage that takes us back to Mother Africa. If we go back and reclaim that culture, go back and reclaim that foundation, and recognize that we don't need all of our people to come together. We just need the believers. You are the believers. Hotep, God bless.
Brother Imhotep Gary Bird. Give him a hand, New York. Brothers and sisters, we have with us in the house the great scholar and teacher and doctor and fighter, Dr. Leonard Jeffries. Give him a hand. And Professor James Smalls. There are many people who don't like to see the broad base of support that the Honorable Louis Farrakhan and the Nation of Islam has. But that support is growing. It's growing broader and broader. Today we have personalities, stars. We have Stephanie Mills with us today. She's going to sing. Give her a hand. Our beautiful black sister. We have in the house with us Brother Mark Breland. Give him a hand. He stands with the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And guess what, brothers and sisters? We have a new heavyweight champion, and he's a Muslim. His name is Brother Michael X. Bent. He knocked out Tommy Morrison, so we have another Muslim heavyweight champion, and he's in the house. Give him a hand. And so now, brothers and sisters, as we move forward and await the arrival of our great leader and teacher, as we move forward to welcoming home with a warm and generous round of applause for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, I would like to bring forth one of his ministers who would take us further into the program. He's from the mighty mosque in Baltimore, Maryland, Minister Jamil Muhammad of Mosque number 6 in Baltimore, Maryland. Give him a hand. Let's bring him on with a warm round of applause.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, who came in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, to whom praise is due forever. I thank Allah for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and certainly we all thank Allah and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad for bestowing upon us out of their grace and mercy for us in the 1990s, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. In their names, it gives me great privilege and honor to greet you, the citizens and black people of New York, with the greatest greetings in the universe of Assalamu alaikum. And brothers and sisters, we know that our program is nearing its climax. And of course, that is the arrival to this podium in just a few moments of our leader, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. And any concerned observer looking at such a sight as you are presenting to the world today would be moved. And I likewise am moved because, as one who has traveled the width and breadth of America with the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, from Seattle to Miami and back from Boston to San Diego, we have seen the outpouring of support for our leader, teacher, and guide from every corner of this nation as our people respond to the situations and circumstances of our current condition, not by hearing a word and rising to our feet and applauding and stomping up and down the aisles, but rather by thinking and then acting. And so, even as we are involved in a black America that seems to challenge us more than we've ever been challenged, the whole black America is beginning to rise under the sound of one single voice. Not that it is the only voice, but clearly the voice of Farrakhan must be heard. I thought as I watched you assemble that here on Saturday afternoon in New York, they have many things already lined up for your amusement, for your diversion. They have baseball and basketball and football on television, pool rooms and bar rooms, and they're shaking it up down at the disco room. But you came out here almost 25,000 strong to the Jacob Javits Center to hear the voice of black America, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Give yourselves a hand. As such, you have defied the pundits' predictions, and you have made a statement. I, like all these others assembled here with you this afternoon, am searching for a way to help the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Help him we must. And I come before you, as many of you may be familiar. You see me come to the podium, you say, I know that guy. He's going to ask us to support the Honorable Louis Farrakhan in a material way. And I'm going to ask you this afternoon to support him as generously as you ever have. In New York, the city where the media watches from around the planet, look at all the cameras and look at all the pads, look at all the tape recorders. It's funny that they would be here today to see what happens. They weren't here to write about it in advance and tell you nothing about it. You ever think about that? But they want to see. They want to see, do you support Farrakhan? They know that New York is the apex of sophistication among our people, that from New York, the ideas, the styles, the fashions that shape the black world come right from this New York. And so they want to see, does New York respond to Farrakhan? They don't mind if you stand up and cheer. They don't mind if you applaud, but they begin to get concerned when you reach into your reserve of consumer income that they've been dependent on to make them go, ho, 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 have a happy holiday. Ho, 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 Merry Christmas. But when you say, no, 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 I'm doing something for myself and backing my leader, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, then things begin to change. We don't have a lot of time, but we got a purpose. As we prepare for the moment that we've been waiting for, you may want to remain on your feet because it's on. You may want to remain on your feet because in a few moments you'll hear the voice that you came to hear. And now to present him to you, our brother, the mayor of New York, the minister of Muhammad Mosque, number 7, our young, firebrand, talented, handsome, intelligent, Muslim, righteous, family man, our brother, Minister Conrad Muhammad. Would you receive him with a warm round of applause? Let's bring on Minister Conrad.
Let's hear it for Brother Minister Jamil Muhammad. And before we hear from the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, it just wouldn't be right if we didn't hear from the people's preacher, the Reverend Al Sharpton. Let's bring him on with a warm round of applause, the people's preacher.
All right. Thank you. We're here today to join in with all of us that have the courage and don't need permission to stand together to deal with the violence in our own community. But let's be clear. A lot of folks talking about stopping the violence, but many of them that are talking about stopping it are the ones that started it. We are not the ones that taught people how to kill all over the world. We are not the ones that raised children on AK-47s and Uzis. We have had our children destroyed by a culture that through its music, through its theater, through its television, has raised a generation that now we must direct in their own interests. When things happen, they want to blame us. But all you got to do is look at our culture in this country. Channel 2, Murder, She Wrote. Channel 4, Terminator 3. Channel 7, Throw Your Mama Off the Train. That's who taught young people how to be violent. Then they try to distinguish crimes, saying some are criminal acts and some are hate crimes. But black-on-black crime is a hate crime because we were taught to hate ourselves. It's a hate crime because it's the self-hate that makes us explode on each other, because we've been suppressed, depressed, and oppressed. But spiritual leaders must come across the boundaries of our denominations and the boundaries of our religion and stand together and save our community and guide our children. And we must listen to God and not care one iota who doesn't like it on this earth. We don't have to all agree. We don't all have to be in the same group, but we all must rise now to stop the self-killing, stop the suicide in our community. And we don't need nobody to approve that. People looking funny at who's going to be together. We are grown. We don't scratch where we don't itch. We don't laugh where we don't think it's funny. And we don't care who don't like it. We're going to save our children. If we got to give up a little of ourselves to unify, we're going to do that. Anytime we're living in a time that's like this. I'm raising 2 daughters. I was raised by my mother. And now I'm living in a time where on the radio, our women will be called whores and bitches. And you want to know why we're together? We're together because you have destroyed the seed of Elijah Muhammad, the seed of Martin Luther King. And we intend to renovate, reform that seed. And the Nation of Islam has a history of doing that. So let us stand together. Together we're strong. Divided, they'll take us off one by one. Don't ask who don't like it. We love it. Don't care who's mad. We're glad. Don't care who attacks. We're on the rise. We will not back down. We will not be separated. We will stand together. Not in some private midnight meeting like some modern Nicodemuses. But in the daylight, we will join hands together and stop the killing. Thank you, and God bless you.
Reverend Al Sharpton, black on black unity, Muslims and Christians together for the cause of black liberation. New York, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is with us. Before we bring him on, let's stand together in national unity. The beautiful thing about the Nation of Islam, brothers and sisters, is that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave us a nation. He gave us a flag. He gave us a sense of purpose and a national will. And every nation must have a song. Well, the song that we sing in the black nation is one that we all want to stand and sing proudly today. It will be sung by one of the most beautiful singers that we've ever produced. Her name is Stephanie Mills, and the song is Lift Every Voice and Sing the Black National Anthem.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's so wonderful to see you here to honor the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. As I was singing and learning this song, or going over it and remembering the words to it, I realized how important the words were. So I want to take my time and sing the song to you, okay? Lift every voice want you to pay attention to. And it says, God of our weary, yes, God of our silent tears, thou who hast brought us far on our way, thou who hast by thy might led us into thy light. Keep us forever, forever in our life. We pray. Let our feet stray from the places our God will be. Let our hearts, drunk with the wine of the world, we forget thee, shadowed beneath thy may we forever stand true to our God, true to our name, till
Let's hear it for Sister Stephanie Mills. Brothers and sisters, this is truly a national movement. It's an international movement. We have Muslims from the Caribbean, Muslims from London. Johnny Gill is here. Wesley Snipes is here. You are here. And the Honorable Louis Farrakhan is here. The scripture says, how can they know except they have a preacher? And how can they have a preacher except he be sent? Well, the preacher is here today, and he has been sent by Allah. So let us not waste another moment. Let us receive the leader of the Nation of Islam, our friend, our brother, our comforter, our guide, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. Welcome him home, New York. He's here. Thank you, sir. Love you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the one God to whom all praise is due, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, the Creator of all things, the Revealer of all truth, and the Sender of all prophets. To him alone do I submit and seek refuge. We thank Allah for Moses and the Torah. We thank him for Jesus and the gospel. We thank him for Muhammad and the Holy Quran. Peace be upon all of these worthy servants of Allah. As a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I could never thank Allah enough for his intervention in our affairs in the person of Master Farad Muhammad, the great Mahdi, who was to come, and indeed has come to seek and to save that which was lost. I thank him for raising up in our midst a divine leader, teacher, and guide, his messenger to us all, the Messiah, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I greet all of you, my dear and beloved brothers and sisters, with the greeting words of peace. In the Arabic language we say, Assalamu alaikum. First, before we get into our subject matter, I want to pay a special tribute and thanks to Minister Conrad Mohammed, Brother Captain Dennis, Brother Captain Henry X, Sister Captain Karima Mohammed, Brother Secretary Jean X, and all of the laborers and believers of Muhammad Mosque number 7 in New York City. Without the hard work of Minister Conrad Mohammed and the staff, in less than 2 weeks, they were able to bring together this magnificent audience. Minister Conrad, ministers of New York City, would you please stand? Let's hear it for them, brothers and sisters. Wonderful job. Thank you. Thank you. Certainly, I want to thank the national laborers of Mosque number 2 in Chicago who came to New York to lend themselves to this great effort. Our Chief of Staff, Brother Leonard Farrakhan Muhammad, the Supreme Captain of the Nation of Islam, Abdul Sharif Muhammad, the Assistant Supreme Captain Mustafa Farrakhan, the National Secretary Kamal Muhammad, the Chief of Protocol, Sister Claudette Marie Muhammad, and the Assistant Minister of Mosque Mariam in Chicago, Minister Ishmael Muhammad, Sister Wendy X, and all of those who helped to make this day possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. To Brother Wayne and Brother Leroy for your expertise in putting together some of the ads on radio, thank you. And to all all who sold a ticket and to all who came. When you think about this, you know, years ago, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad would rent space like this and open the doors freely for us to come and hear his teachings. And in the early days, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad began to teach us, he would even pay us to come and hear what he had to say. He would send the brothers out to ask our people in the streets, if you will come and just listen to Mr. Muhammad, he will give you $1 or $2. And they would come, and at the end of the meeting, Brother Sharif would stand there with a wad of dollar bills in his hand and give everyone who came $1. Times are different now.
Yes, sir.
It is not that we are charging you to hear the truth. We are very pleased to be here at the Javits Center. We're very pleased to be home in New York City, the city of my birth. And the city where I did, I would say, some pretty good work on behalf of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Nation of Islam. There are many in this audience that helped me to be where I am and to become who and what I am. And I want the believers of Mosque number 7, past and present, and the believers of the Nation of Islam, past and present, and to an unseen host of persons that helped me along the way. Needless to say, but I'm happy to say, that you indeed are the wind beneath my wings. And wherever I go in this life, I carry you with me. And I want each of you to know I shall never, by the grace of God, forget any kind word that you gave me, any counsel or advice or criticism that you gave me. I shall never forget your kindness and love to me and my wife and family. And so I'm so grateful and happy to be back home in New York. It is regrettable that we had to pay to get in. But before we could sign a contract, we had to send $113,000 certified check before we could even start the process of coming into the Javits Center. This is true. Then to pay for lights and staging and sound, more thousands and thousands of dollars. And every seat that you're sitting in, it cost us nearly $2 per seat. Then the union asked us, told us, that in order to put the seat down and to pick the seat up, we had to pay another several thousands of dollars. I don't know that it costs that much, but we wanted to talk to you. So the price was worth it just to get to talk to you. From the depth of my heart, if we don't make a dime, I hope we have not lost, because it seems as though the aim was, all right, Farrakhan, you can come, but we're going to make you pay. And what they don't realize is that there's someone much bigger than I who is watching. I didn't come to New York to do evil to this city. There's enough evil already in New York to go around for the human family several times over. I don't wish to add one iota of evil to the evil that is already present. One iota of hatred to the hatred that's already present. But I came because these are my family, and this is my people. Yes. And I, like you, are hurting because of the increased violence and bloodshed that is tearing Black America apart. I know that there is a solution. Yes, sir. And I came as a student of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to offer what I know will work to end the violence, end the madness, and make us the kind of people that God himself would be pleased to call his own. Yes, sir. And make us the kind of people that will not have to demand respect. Our very moral correctness, our very spiritual being, carriage, and deportment will demand not only that our former slave masters and their children honor and respect us, but our kith and kin around this earth will take their hats off and say, these are the people that were once sold into America as slaves, and now they are on top of the mountain. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our sight. So to all of you who paid $10 or $20 or $50 or $100 for that seat and then turned around and gave something in charity, from the depth of all of our hearts, we thank you, and we pledge to you that we shall never abuse your trust, your love, and your confidence in us. Our thanks to Bob Law, our thanks to Imhotep Gary Bird, our thanks to Dr. Lenora Fulani, our thanks to the Reverend Al Sharpton, our thanks to Minister Qadir Muhammad, Minister Don Muhammad, our thanks to Minister Jamil Muhammad for his excellent raising of charity. I don't know anybody that could do it any better. And our thanks to Stephanie Mills and her wonderful rendition of Lift Every Voice and Sing, the Black National Anthem. Thank you to my pastor, who married my wife and I 40 years ago, the Reverend Dr. Nathan Wright. Would you stand, Dr. Wright? Honored to have you with us. Thanks to all of the distinguished dais guests, and thank you to the mother of all of us, the Queen Mother of our struggle, Queen Mother Moore. Can you give her a standing ovation for 80 years in the struggle for black people? Please wheel her out. Sister Deloise Blakely, our Vice Mayor of the Village of Harlem, thank you for the honor that you have shown me today. Thank you. And now, let's get down to business. The United States of America, the greatest nation on earth, invincible to any outside force, is now vulnerable because of an internal rot and corruption. This, the greatest nation in the history of the world in the last 6,000 years, has been wrapped up and made ready for takeover. Not a takeover with weapons of war, but a takeover because the American people have been put soundly to sleep. And decadence and immorality is spreading over America like a plague. The educational system has been destroyed. A brilliant nation that can send men and women to outer space to correct a telescope, but can't get students out of high school with a 30% functional illiteracy. Young people unable to read. How long can America maintain supremacy when her educational system is in revolution against itself? And since education is the torchlight of civilization, when an educational system is in decline, the civilization that it represents is also in decline. The morality of the country has gone at the speed of light to the depth of a bottomless pit. When we think we have reached a lowest depth, we find there's still no bottom to the low moral character that is growing now among the American people, and it has and is becoming a way of life. The people are not listening anymore to their preachers of moral correctness. There's a subtle move to destroy the influence of religion in the society. The attack on religious leaders is not meant to show up corruption in certain religious leaders, but it is meant to undermine people's faith and confidence in that which gives them moral direction. The attack on Cardinal Bernardin is not an attack on Bernardin. The showing up of immoral priests is not just an attack on those immoral priests. It is an attack on the church itself. Why? Because there's a vested interest in destroying that which can represent moral correctness to the people. And when you don't know anymore what is right or what is wrong, and you begin to set up your own standard of morality and decency, and God has no say-so anymore in your life, then the country is wrapped up, as one prophet said, and made ready for the slaughter. America now can be taken from within by an insidious force that must be exposed and uncovered. But I'll be damned if you will take black America down. By the help of Almighty God, we intend to free our people from this insidious force and power that is misdirecting our lives. The attack on Michael Jackson by the media is a wicked thing. If in a country that prides itself in the most advanced system of jurisprudence, a man is presumed innocent until proved guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. Here's a brother that has not been charged with a criminal offense. Here's a brother that has given away millions and millions of dollars to charities, to youth. Here's a brother that has entertained and marveled human beings across the world, and you treat him like a piece of paper that has been used to wipe yourself, and you're ready to throw it in the garbage pail. Personally, I sense a conspiracy. Personally, I sense that somebody feels that Michael may be going in a direction that the world can't take. Personally, I feel that there may be a thought in mind that Michael the billionaire may use his money for constructive purposes as he becomes more politically conscious, and America and the powers that be cannot stand to see Michael Jackson politically conscious, politically awake, morally mature, and using his money for the advancement of his people. Why would you handle him that way? You didn't handle your own people that way. You covered the wickedness of your presidents. You cover the mistresses of your presidents, the homosexuality of your great leaders. But you expose Michael Jackson to international ridicule. And he's judged as guilty. Michael Jackson is no dope fiend, but he puts his trust in the wrong people who were feeding him morphine and painkillers. Whether you like it or not, I'm a defender of black people. And when I see the world ganging up on my brother, I think it's time for us to say, cut this foolishness out. Leave that man alone and stop using him for ratings points on your sinking news show. Stop using him. He's a gentle brother. He's a sweet brother. I don't know anything about whether he's guilty or not. But it seems to me that if he has been with so many children, you would get more than one, and then a half-baked. I saw my son sitting on his lap. You want to hang him by innuendo. You want to hang him on the base of circumstantial evidence. You want to weaken him and make him bow down. But you'll find out that there's more to Michael than what you think. I just thought I would say that. A young black man got on the Long Island Railroad the other day. And went off and shot down 6 Caucasian people and wounded many more. It is sad to see innocent people cut down. But America has to look and ask yourself the question, what is driving the American people insane? Where my black brother will shoot down 6, and your own Caucasian brother will stand in a tower in Texas and shoot down several. Your own brother will go into a fast food place and kill some more. Your own family members going off in the post offices across the nation. What is driving the American people crazy? How does the violence start? And more importantly, what can we do to stop it? Is building more prisons the answer? Is hiring more police the answer? According to Newsday newspaper, 2 days ago, it read 42% of the population of New York City was victimized by crime last year. So crime is on the minds of the American people, particularly white people. So anybody who says we're going to be tough on crime, tough on criminals, can get a vote. Because the code word being tough on crime and tough on criminals means underneath being tough on black people. Because the way we are being positioned, we are, according to the way we're being positioned, the top criminals in the American society. Well, I'm going to take issue with that this afternoon, and I would like to deal with the origin of crime and violence, the origin of the madness, how it has escalated to the point where it is today, and how only God has the power to step in and bring this decadence to a halt. I hope and pray that I can get it over to you in a short amount of time. But you know, it's really something to hear white folk on television talking about how terrible it is that there's so much violence, when America seems to have a love affair with violence. This is one of the only nations on earth that in its own national anthem and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. You love war. Everything you have achieved, you have achieved it through artifice, cunning, and violence. America is yours today because of crime and violence. Black people are yours today because of crime and violence. South America, the Caribbean, Africa, the Isles of the Pacific have been your playground because of crime and violence. It is so sad that the little criminals, cheap thieves, cheap hustlers who are trying to survive from day to day, are the ones that are focused on, while the real criminals that are in high places, dressed in fine suits and speaking in beautiful language, are hiding their criminal activities behind the legalities of government rhetoric and international law. In the Bible it says, we war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness in high places. So if you really want to stop crime, America, you have to stop it at the top. And then let righteousness and justice flow down the mountain like a mighty stream. But if you don't stop it at the top, you can't stop it at the bottom, because the bottom is a reflection of what's going on at the top. You know, brothers and sisters, every human being can be violent under the right circumstances. There's not one of you peaceful and loving and kind persons in this audience that could not and would not resort to violence under certain circumstances. There is in human development an animal side to the human being. The animal side, or the animalistic nature of the human being, is only put in check by moral consciousness. And the most highly developed form of human being is the spiritual-minded person whose moral consciousness, spiritual consciousness, and intellectual maturity causes that person to discipline the lusts of the flesh. But when there is no moral consciousness and no spiritual consciousness, then human beings, so-called, are not yet human. They are degenerate, and they travel and act on the plane of the beasts of the field. It is not an accident that the Bible begins in Genesis with a serpent and ends in the book of Revelation with a dragon and 4 great beasts. The prophets of God, in their symbolic language, did not even refer to us as human beings. They referred to the powers that rule the world as beasts. And the people under the rule of these great powers, the scripture said, had the mark of a beast in their forehead and in their hands. And if the words of Jesus are correct, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. If you think the thoughts of a beast, you will commit the acts of a beast. So humanity is dead in the world, and violence permeates every society on the earth. But America, the greatest of all the nations, is the most violent nation on earth. Of all the nations, the best system of communication, the best system of transportation, the best roads, the best infrastructure, America, the finest hospitals, America, the leading dope consumer in the world. What's wrong with America? What's wrong with the society? That the people in America consume more drugs than any other nation on earth. What's wrong? That over 70 million Americans have tried drugs, and most of them are now addicted. 70 million is more than several nations in the United Nations. So inside America, if you have 70 million drug addicts, the core of America is rotten. And you, our entertainers, look how degenerate you have become. In the 1960s, the sisters called themselves the Supremes. In the 1990s, they're bitches with problems and whores with attitudes. And this is acceptable behavior to you. Our artists can grind away on the stage, on MTV. Our children and grown-ups watching it hour after hour after hour, watching our women half nude, bumping and grinding like animals. And the world is looking at you. And you're playing right into the hands of those who say that black people in America are nothing but a bunch of animals, and the world would be better off if they were rid of all black people. All of you movie producers, you like to produce films that depict the reality of life in the ghetto. But what you don't realize, you don't have the money, to produce it. You don't have the money to distribute it. You just make a film and a product, and somebody sees what they can do with it. And then they spread you all over the world in your ugliness. And it justifies in the minds of the world's people your destruction. And now the level of violence in our community has become so great that some of our own mayors are asking for the National Guard to come in to bring some semblance of control. What produced this? Our young people have a love for guns. When I was younger, John Wayne and Hopalong Cassidy and Roy Rogers, we'd see them with their six-shooters, and we would go home and want to get a six-shooter. You know how we did. But when we went out in the street to play, we didn't go out in the street with a gun. The best we had was a little switchblade that we used occasionally. Today, 22% of those polled in 10 urban high schools, according to the Justice Department, 22% of our children in 10 urban high schools said they own a weapon. Now, the Brady bill is nice, that you can go to a store and you have to wait a week until they check you out to see if you're black or white. Or wrong or right. And then you can have a gun. But you know, our high school children are not going to a gun store. Illegal weapons are flooding the black community, are being sold to our babies. And our babies have a feeling that when I get this gun, I'll be all right. In yesterday's post, it said that the brothers say when they get a gun, they just feel good. Think about that. Think about it. Stephanie sings a song, I feel good all over. And the brothers are saying, when I have my peace, I feel good all over. I saw a young brother on television, and a white reporter was asking him, how do you feel when you have the weapon? He said, and I quote, I feel invincible. Think about that. Think about it. Things have gotten so bad till the brothers now are going in the church. The preacher talking about the power of Jesus. And the brothers say, here's the real power, baby. Get down out the pulpit. Made the man come out of his pulpit. Made him bow down on the floor in front of his congregation. Robbed the church. Shot the preacher. Reverend, the people begin to feel that preachers are just gangsters with robes on. The people are beginning to feel that preaching Jesus is big business, that belief has gone out of it. And the real aim of Jesus Christ, which was to transform human life, is no longer present in religion, but it's how much money we take up, how many cars we drive, how many women we have in the name of God. So the people see religious people as hustlers and pimps. So sticking up churches is like robbing banks. How did all of this get so crazy? Where did it start? Our children are so cold. They don't have conscience. They can shoot their own brother down and don't feel any sense of remorse. And you say this is a tough generation, but you and I produced it. That's the fruit from our tree. So if something is wrong with the fruit, don't check the fruit. Let's check the tree. And if you would be bold enough to take a critical look at our own madness as parents and as adults, then you will all have to agree that from the leadership all the way down, we need guidance, we need correction, we need an awakening that we might awaken our people. The times are so pitiful that I went to the Bible just before coming, and I was trying to find a verse that described the madness. In the Old Testament it says that a time of trouble will be coming, like there never was since there was a time and a nation. Are we in that time of trouble? In the New Testament, Paul says, know this, that in the last days perilous times will come. Here's how he describes the people in the last days. People will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of the good, but treacherous, rash, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying its power. Paul says of people like that, Christians have nothing to do with them. Well, is that an accurate description of what's in the world in which we live? Do you realize that we have come to the apex now of lawlessness? The apex. But it all began like we did, with a small life germ. but evolved to the criminality and violence that we see on the earth today. If you will bear with me for a few moments, I want to talk to us on the nature of human beings and the nature of the universe, and show the microcosm and the macrocosm and the similarity in both. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that if you notice, nothing in the universe is produced perfectly round. All of the planets are oblong. All of the stars are oblong. There is no perfectly round fruit, nor is there any round heads. Our heads are shaped like the earth, oblong. And because the first law of the universe is motion, then anything that is not perfectly round and is set in motion will have a wobble to its motion. That's right. Are you listening? Yes, sir. The earth on which we travel is traveling right now at the speed of 1,037 1/3 miles per hour. But it's the smoothest ride you can get, except when the earth is disturbed through earthquake. Then you understand this ride is not smooth anymore. But under normal conditions, there is no airplane that you can get on that will give you a smoother ride than the planet that you came up out of and are on your way back into. And it never stops. Its motion is constant. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said it makes 4 dips in and out, giving us our seasons. And the only reason you don't feel the wobble or the imbalance of the planet is because the planet is in such perfect obedience to the law under which it was created, that this is what gives you your smooth ride, because it's obeying the law of light. Listen now, listen. You and I come up out of the earth, and in human nature there is a wobble, an imbalance, an imperfection, if you will. This is why the Bible and Quran agree that the heavens and the earth were created under the number 6. The Quran teaches that the universe was created in 6 periods of time. The Bible says he created it in 6 days. In the book of Revelations, it says, count the number of the beast. For the number of the beast is the number of a man, 666. The number 6 represents incompletion, imperfection, and dissatisfaction. A baby at 6 months is not complete. It's completed at 7. It is incomplete at 6. So anything constructed under the number 6 is imperfect, incomplete. But God is constantly moving things toward completion, toward perfection. And this is why the New Testament says, behold, I make all things new. There will be a new heaven and a new earth, and the former things will pass away. God would not have to make a new heaven and a new earth if he was satisfied with this one. Since it is incomplete, there's always dissatisfaction. And it is the dissatisfaction in human nature that keeps us moving onward toward eventual perfection. It is dissatisfaction that brings about change. And since nothing, they say, is more predictable, then there's going to be change. Fine. Then if we are created under the number 6, we are incomplete, imperfect, and therefore our actions will bring about problems to the degree that we obey or disrespect divine law. I hope you're following me. You notice, Christians, how you constantly talk about love, and that Farrakhan is a preacher of hate. You need to be quiet. Go ahead. Let me tell you what produces hate. It's not the preaching of Farrakhan. Farrakhan just got here a few days ago. You have to agree that hate was in the world before I got here. And somebody must have been preaching before I took up the book. And they must have been a better preacher than I, because the world is filled with hate, and I have nothing to do with it. Here's what produces hate.
Go ahead, make it clear.
Since the heavens and the earth are created imperfect, but evolving toward perfection, the planets created at right angles to each other. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said the brain cell of the original people is created to think right. To think right means to think in accord with law and truth. Then if you can think right and act right, you reduce the problem of the wobble in human nature. I'm going to say that again. If you think right and act right, you reduce the problem created by the wobble in human nature. Now, if you don't wish to obey law and follow the dictates of truth, then the wobble in human nature becomes manifest, and your motion then creates disturbance, chaos, confusion, bloodshed, hatred. It is unrighteousness that produces hate. If your nature is to do what is right, and I treat you wrongly, you can't love me even if I'm your father, even if I'm your mother, even if I'm your brother. If I treat you wrong, it is the wrong that I do that will generate hatred in you. Now, Listen carefully. It's real hard for any teacher in the black community to produce any brotherhood among us. All of these leaders up here are talking, we got to come together. Well, that's the right talk. But wait a minute. See, that's just talk, and it'll always be mouth. It'll never be real, brothers and sisters. I gotta walk a little bit. It will never be real, leaders, if in your preaching and your actions you don't treat each other right. If our actions one toward the other is duplicitous, scheming, devious, hidden motives, hidden agendas, playing with good words, but underneath doing evil and dirty deeds. You can't produce love with ingenuous action. You can't produce love on the basis of lies and deceit and treachery and trickery. You can't produce love in a society with murder and robbery and lying and slander at the root of it. So you produce a world filled with hate, because the world is filled not with the preaching of Farrakhan. The world is filled with evil, and it is the evil that men do that has produced hatred in the hearts of the people. And now, what you would classify me as a racist or even an anti-Semite, I'm neither a racist nor an anti-Semite. But if I point out your evil with truth, then call me a preacher of truth. And if you will correct your behavior, then love will come as a result of correction. But you can't cast hate on me. Farrakhan is a no good man. What have I done? If I'm no good, what is America? If I'm no good, what is your president? What is your system? What is your education? If I'm no good because of words, how good are you, America, when you have deeds of hatred that have filled the earth from one corner to another? What are you if I'm no good? If I point out your evil tracks in the sands of time, I didn't make the tracks. You made them. And if I point out the tracks that you made, don't blame me for the evil tracks that you made. I'm trying to make a righteous track. And you want to make me the evildoer. How did it begin? You see, Caucasian people, I'm talking to white folk now, and I don't want you to think I'm a hater. That ain't got nothing to do with it. I just want to talk to you for a minute, because you are the rulers. You are the people that have ruled the earth. You can't argue with me. All white people haven't ruled, but your people are rulers, and so all of you benefit. So if you're a bum, don't blame me. If you're homeless, don't blame me. If you're out of a job, don't blame us. Because you've been ruling the world for 6,000 years. You should be able to have a home somewhere. there's a wobble in the nature of the original man, and you come from the original, then the wobble is even greater in your nature. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it again. I'm dealing with just pure science now. If you want to attack me on the basis of science. And don't get angry. I want you to open your ears and start living. I said, if there's a wobble, imperfection in the nature of the original human being who is black. Now you can call that racism if you want, but I defy any scholar present to prove that white folk predated the original black people of the earth. I defy you to do that. When your scholars, called anthropologists and archaeologists, want to look for the origin of man, they may go through Europe, but they don't stay there. When they want to find the origin of man, they go where they believe man had his origin, and they still haven't found it yet. But the closest they came was Africa. Is that right? The scholars say that genetically they can trace the beginning of all human beings back to the black woman. I didn't say it, the scholars said it. The Bible calls her Eve, the mother of all living. Black woman, that's you. The mother of all living. Now, my Quranic brothers and sisters, you say Islam does not deal with color. Islam deals with truth. If we're trying to exalt ourselves because of color, Islam condemns us. But Islam has to deal with color because color is a reality. Go ahead. Islam says, the Quran says, that when God created the first human being, he created him out of black mud and fashioned him into shape. Well, if he created the first human being from black mud, he couldn't have been a white man. The first human being in the universe was a black man. Now, listen to what I'm saying. If you black people are the first people, and there's imperfection in your nature and mine, and a wobble in your nature and mine, then what about somebody that you produced from your imperfection? So, white folk, you got to be very obedient to divine law in order for the wobble in your nature not to poison yourself and all whom you come in contact with. But you have not obeyed divine law. You have set yourself up as a law beside God. So whatever God said you shall not do, you all said it's all right, hang in there, go on and do it. God said, the Lord thy God is one God. Have none other God before me. Don't bow down to it. Don't make any graven image to it. What have you done? Come on. You make statues of stone and wood and tell us do what? Bow down to it. What did God say? Don't do it. What did you say? It's all right. These are the images through which we get to God. We don't need stone to get to God. God said you should keep the Sabbath. You didn't do it. And so we don't do it because we were your slaves. We came up under you. You were our teacher. You wanted us to call you Massa. Yes, sir, Massa. Yes, sir, boss. Yes, sir, Massa. Well, hell, now you got to take the weight, Massa. See, God said, let us make man. You said, let us make a nigger. So the nigger is not God's creation. The nigger is from the figment of the imagination of white people. So whatever we are made in America. Whatever we are.
Go ahead.
If we are trash, you made us that way. So you have to be the trash can. Yeah. I know it's rough. I know it's rough. I know it's rough. Listen. We disobeyed. And in our disobedience, the warble in our nature crushes us. In their disobedience, the warble in their nature, since they are the rulers, they sentence the whole earth to a certain kind of death under their rule. Now, I have to speak truth. The whole thought of Scripture, bear with me a few more minutes. God made Adam, right? And he tells Adam, eat of all these trees and the fruit of these trees, but this tree, don't eat it. The day you eat it, you will surely die. The serpent comes in and says, look here. You don't have to pay God any attention. See, he's trying to make a slave out of you. What he really means is if you eat this tree of the knowledge of good and evil, your eyes are going to come open. You ain't going to die. Now think about this. Adam ate the fruit. And sure enough, his eyes came open. But he died at the same time. But it wasn't a physical death. This is what you religious theologians have to understand. You did not die physically from the fall of Adam, but we as a human family died spiritually from the fall of Adam. So the scripture says all in Adam died, which means then that the whole earth is under the curse of death because of disobedience from the ruler. So the scripture says we are born in sin. And what is sin? Disobedience to the divine law. And we have been shaped in iniquity. We came into a world that was already off course. Neither you nor the present generation of whites shaped this world, but this world shaped the thinking of whites, made you believe you were superior because of the color of your skin, made us believe we were inferior because of the color of our skin. So you walk around with your chest puffed out, crazy as hell, because you feel you're better because you're white. And you are crazy too, walking around with your head bent down, feeling that your blackness is something of a divine curse. So neither mentality is acceptable to God. Neither your inferiority nor his or her superiority is acceptable. So both mentalities have to be destroyed in order that life may come to both black and white. All right, I'm almost where I want to be. Are you listening? So all human beings are under the curse of death. You don't really know real man, real woman, because you have not seen the real man or the real woman, because the real man, which is spiritual man, spiritual woman, lies dead, buried in the lusts of the flesh. Are you following me? Now, brothers, sisters, man is created to have power. The Bible says, and give them power, dominion over the fowl of the air, the fish of the sea, and every creeping thing. It's in the nature of a man to want and have power. It's in the nature of human beings, but particularly the male side of the species. You are not a man if you're deprived of power and the ability to rule. In the house of the Caucasian people, they did not want anybody else to be the man in their house. So they had to cut us off from power and dominion so that they could be the power and the dominion. For in their mind, two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time. If the white man is going to rule, then the black man must sit down. So therefore, black men are deprived of power. We are a powerless group of men. And our women cannot love us like they want to love us. Go ahead. Because they are from God, who is omnipotent, and they adore his power and his wisdom and his spirit and his guidance. And if a man has no power, no wisdom, no guidance, what is there in you for a woman to love? Talk to me. All you can do to try to exercise some power is through sex. And therefore you try to practice being proficient. You don't realize that pain and pleasure are the two most powerful motivating forces. Pain and pleasure. We're always trying to escape pain, and we're always trying to find that which gives us what? Pleasure. The woman wants pleasure, but don't want the pain of childbirth. I wish we could but I wish I didn't have to. Sorry about that. You have to experience both sides. This is life. So real pleasure comes from the awakening of the spiritual dimensions when there's communion and union of the servant with God. That's real pleasure. It says in the Quran, O soul that is at rest, well pleased with thy Lord and well pleasing. That's perfect peace, contentment of mind. That can't be bought with money. Power can't give you peace. Wealth can't give you peace. It may make you feel like I got what it takes. But most people with money are some of the most pitiful people, because money can't buy what only God can give. Peace, contentment of mind. Listen now, listen. So when you disobey God, that is the beginning of the disturbing of your mind. Hear me now. To the Caucasians who are present in the media, look, to be in a position of rulership is tremendous responsibility. The whole human family was under white rule. You have to ask yourself, how did we exercise our rule over the human family? How did you exercise your power over the earth? Did you corrupt the earth? Did you corrupt the water? Did you corrupt the air? Did you corrupt the human beings that you found? And you called, when you went there, you said you found paradise. But when you left it, how did you leave it? Everywhere you went, you produced two conditions: hell and death. So says the Bible, and it's correct. This is not hate. It's just not hate. It's just truth. Swallow it. Wait. It may be bitter in the mouth, but it might be sweet in the stomach and help us get out of the terrible condition that all of us are in. I don't say these things to show off. I don't say these things to throw off on other human beings. That is unnecessary, and it's not correct behavior. But I say it in hopes that it might strike a responsive chord, that we can begin to see now the error of our conduct. Please hear me now. If the nature of man is to hold power, and you and I are deprived of it, whatever you're deprived of, what are you trying to gain? Come on. What are you trying to gain, brother? Can't you say it a little louder? Isn't that what you want? Because you can't change your condition until you get the power to do it. So if they have power and you are powerless, and they're not willing to share power, then we are locked in a struggle. And that struggle is to be what God has made us to be. And if you stand in our way, we're not trying to take nothing from you, but what we want is what is ours. We must have the power to direct our own lives and our own destiny, and to build a future for ourselves. We must have that kind of power. Now listen. Please bear with me here.
Yes, sir.
If we want power, and they have it, when we try to introduce in the school system Afrocentric learning, because we recognize that Eurocentric learning is not best for us, who do we come up against? Come on. White folks in power. And they say, no, you don't bring that stuff in here. You teach about George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Tommy Jefferson. Teach it like we know it should be. And if you quote it back perfectly, you get an A. But if you challenge them and say, wait a minute, sir, that's a mistake. Who gave you authority to tell us it's a mistake? Well, I read in John Henry Clark's book, or I read in Ben Yockman's book, or I read in Haki Madhubuti's book, or I read in W.E.B. Du Bois' writings. I read, well, who are they? So your scholarship is made mockery of.
Right, sir.
So if you want to be a good boy, you quote everything that will please white folk, and you get a degree in quotology. And you come out of there like a parrot, parroting what Nietzsche said, parroting what Aristotle said, parroting. But you're not a thinker. And that's why most of the doers in black community never went to college. They never saw the inside of higher learning. They were men from the South or from the Caribbean or from Africa who just had a desire and a thought and a mind and a will to do it, and they got up and they did it. And then they hired the college brother. Since you're trained to fit into things, but not make things. Just look at our history. And look at some of the greatest business people that we've produced. They were not those who matriculated with an MBA from Harvard or Yale or some of the fine business schools. They're people that just come up from the South and said, I want to do such and such and so and so, and did it. Something is wrong with the educational system. And you must know that it wasn't made to serve you. It was made to perpetuate white supremacy. And once you understand that and you try to change it, you have to fight the forces that are there to protect and keep white supremacy in a position of power. And now look, we got black politicians on this stage, some of them. When you got into power politically, didn't you feel good? You became the mayor. I'm the first mayor. I'm the first governor. But you're managing somebody else's affairs. And let's be real. The moment you became a manager in their store and they didn't like your being there, they immediately, from the Justice Department, started setting traps for black mayors, black congressmen. Why? Because your grip on power is challenging white supremacy. And since the guiding principle of this world is that white folk must stay on top at all costs, then they must crush all black business if it go too far. Crush all black entrepreneurs if you go too far. Crush all black artists if you get too smart. Crush all black leaders if you don't speak what they like, because nobody should have the right to challenge white supremacy and survive. Do you understand that? Well then, if you understand that, then you must understand that the nature of white supremacy and its action to black people and our reaction to it is a total system of injustice. Now that's what I wanted to get to. Did you know that in this universe there is a thing in the Quran called the mizan, or the balance? Go ahead. And did you know that the star in the heavens justifies the creation and gives balance to the human mind? Whenever you deprive a human being of justice, you tip the scale. You notice how justice is symbolized by a woman with a blindfold holding a scale? Do you know what the scale represents? The scale represents the weight of truth and appropriate action in accord with truth. And the woman has a blindfold. She's not supposed to see your race, your color, your station in life. She's supposed to weigh truth and actions in accord with truth. Then the scale is balanced. But when you live in an unjust world and the scale's balance is tipped, then the mind reflects the imbalance in society. So when a person is said to be imbalanced, what are they? Come on. They're insane. Insane means unclean, not in harmony with law, that which is proper and right. Imbalance, crazy. Now look, when Caucasian rulers decided to set up their own law in contravention to the laws of God, they set up an unjust rule that would ultimately destroy them and their world. Listen, because the very motion of their world, not in harmony with law, the more it spun, it would spin into chaos, spin into confusion, spin into total madness. And this is what we've come to today. It's not just you, it's the rulers of the world, the rulers of religion, the rulers of government, the rulers in education. The rulers are imbalanced. Their perception of reality is gone. So the man in Romania, Ceausescu, could say, I will be in power a long time. But he couldn't see death coming from beneath his own feet. The Shah of Iran, drunk with the power, supported by the power of America, blinded to what was growing underneath his own feet. All of the governments that America sanctions in South America, Central America, Asia, and Africa, drunk with the power of the back end of the Western world. And you can't perceive reality because your leaders are imbalanced. You're running to Washington looking for guidance. Washington can't guide itself. How can Washington guide you or anybody else in the world? They are imbalanced and not perceiving reality. This is why they could run in to Somalia and attack Aidid. Call Aidid a warlord. And he hides among his people. And they send their best Delta Force in after them. And 18 Americans dead and dragging them through the streets because of a silly policy coming out of an imbalanced head. Your policy in Haiti is a disaster. Your policy in Africa is a disaster. Go ahead. America, you're on your way to hell and you need guidance. You are unable to guide yourself. The spin of your own world, your own motion of iniquity is producing the chaos, the confusion that is tearing your government and your world apart. The wobble now in your nature is shaking the very foundation of your house. And now it comes to you. You are already under the imbalance of injustice. But even when we were in slavery, there was a deep, compelling God force within us that even through the injustice of slavery, we kept some semblance of balance. Just check it out. Grandma, grandpa, great-grandma, let's go back and remember. See them on the plantation in the setting of the sun, wiping the sweat from their brow after a long day's work. As they sit down chewing tobacco and spitting in a pail, they would say, son, bring me my Bible. Son, don't worry. One day, change is gonna come. Hold on, son. I might not live to see it, son, but hold on, boy, 'cause change is gonna come. And they kept singing their songs. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low. What you talking about? I got hope, man, that one day a chariot is coming down and gonna pick me up. Oh, don't you want to go? See, they had hope. They were troubled, but their minds had balance because there was an inner power that they had that equalized the power coming from the pressures of an unjust condition. Like we learn in physics that there's 14.7 pounds of atmospheric pressure on every square inch of the human body. And as long as you have pressure pushing out on the inside equal to the pressure coming from the outside, you walk with all this heavy pressure and you don't feel it. But when you lose the ability to equalize the pressure from within to the pressure that's coming from without, you cave in. So it is mentally. The pressure of slavery wasn't strong enough to undo our mothers and fathers. Because the spiritual force from within, the God force in their lives, the hope that a brighter day was coming, kept them moving through the dark night. And this is why Sister Stephanie could sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that their present had brought us. But now Reverend Jackson has to go throughout the country saying, keep hope alive. Because hope is dead. And when hope is dead, the people are filled with despair, hopelessness. Then the pressure from without begins to cave you in. And now you're cracking up under the tremendous stress of living in a world that is breaking up into chaos and confusion. Are you listening? I got just a few more minutes. Please hang in there with me. And those of you that are watching on the screen in the next hall, you stay right there, because when I come down off the rostrum here, I'm going to come over there and just be with you for a few minutes. I just want to see you. Thank you. Thank you. Now hang in there with me. We're going to wrap it up now. Oh, New York, New York, New York. Yes, sir. If you notice what the Bible says, the Bible says, you will see signs in the sun, in the moon, and the stars. This is the book of Luke. The sea and the waves roaring, distress and perplexity of the nations, and men's hearts failing them with fear for the things that they see coming upon the earth. The number one killer of human beings in America is heart failure. White folks, why is your heart failing? Because the things that you see coming frighten you. Do you know how frightened they are when they see menace to society? Well, brother, that would frighten anybody. But you notice how they call it menace to society. So if you are menace to, who is menace number one? So the big menace has menaced the whole world. And now menace two, you've become a menace to menace number one. The scriptures say, I'm going to vex you with a foolish people. That's just about right. They are getting angrier every day at our foolishness. But heart failure is killing us. And we are dying under the weight of the stress of racism. In this audience today are some brilliant brothers and sisters in corporate America. And dear family, if you would be honest, you went to college, you suffered, you got your degree, and you went to work in corporate America, and they pay you less than they pay your counterpart that has the same education that you have. You have less opportunities for advancement than your white counterpart. And the harder you work, it seems like they don't really appreciate your work, and you end up very confused, hurting on the inside, though your people may think you're making it because you can ride a BMW or a Mercedes-Benz or a Porsche, but you're cracking the Mercedes up because when you're coming home from work, you're thinking, why didn't I get that promotion? See, it's pain, isn't it? Isn't it pain? Isn't it painful, sister, to be a woman and know you don't have a man? Isn't it painful to know that the man that you have, you want him to be better than what he is, but you don't know how to get him to be better? And you suffer with baby after baby after baby and no man. Isn't it painful? And what do you want? Pleasure. Come on. You want pleasure. It's painful, brothers, to have an invention. You working on a job and you think of something. You take it to your boss. Boss, look, I found. He said, hey, Sam, that's good. Sam, let me have it, Sam. And when you look around, the invention is theirs. They're making all the money, and you got nothing. I got on a pair of shoes. I wish you could see them. It's alligator with leopard skin. Ain't another one like it. You know what? A black man designed it. Gave it to the Caucasian. He ain't getting a dime. But he has advanced white folk business. That's a damn shame. They steal our minds and won't give us the credit for what we invent. When we would be glad to share whatever we had with them, they rob us of it all. Sammy Davis can tap dance and sing and die penniless. And his wife trying to hide something, and the IRS come and clean it all out. Sanford made white folk laugh, black folk too. Red Fox died broke. The government comes after our stars. You owe this, you owe that. But they never go after the corrupt, crooked managers and accountants that we trust with our affairs, because all we want to do is sing, dance, and play. But Johnny, don't you let them. Don't you let them rob you, Johnny. One of the finest voices in America today, Johnny Gill. Stand up, Johnny. But we don't want enemies robbing the brother of his wealth, coming around with the white powder. Our basketball stars broke down at 35. No money. Our boxers, our great sports figures. Wesley Snipes is in the audience. A brilliant actor. We want him to have his money so he can use it for his family, but also for the larger family. We got to retrieve our black gold and put it to use for black people. We got to bring Michael home. Bring him home to his family. Bring him home to his people. An unjust world is cracking us up. We're in so much pain that the brain cannot produce enough hormones that give us pleasure. please follow me closely. Do you know why America's the biggest drug culture on earth? Because there's more pain in America because of frustrated hopes and dreams, not only of black people, but of a growing segment of white people. They're being frustrated every day. There's 12% of the narcotics in America is consumed by black people, but we are 70% of those going to jail for drug offenses. You know why you're calling for drugs? You're in pain, and you need a pain killer. So some of us want more sex because sex gives us pleasure. But sex today is not strong enough to beat back the pain of our stressful lives. We need more than sex. You all right? So in your sex craze, looking for pleasure, your nature is being used to trap you with venereal disease and death. We'll just use your nature against you. You're in pain, the brain produces the hormones that bring pleasure and satisfaction. God created this beautiful, magnificent human body to be its own hospital and insane asylum. This is a magnificent temple of the living God. But when the stress is inordinate, the supply from the brain is insufficient. Therefore, you call for something from an outside force. Enter the drug dealer. Hey, baby, I know it's hard. You don't have to tell me. It's rough. Come on. Let's smoke this weed. You in such pain, you'll try it. Here, puff. I haven't forgot. I didn't fall down out of heaven. I came up from hell right with you. So we pull on the reefer. After a while, that ain't sufficient. Then they lace the reefer with PCP. Now you're crazy as hell. Opium, refined into heroin, flooded the black community in the 60s in direct proportion to the rise of our black consciousness. The last time I was here, 8 years and 4 months ago, black folk turned out just like you today. And you were in such harmony with your brother as you are today, that the writers, when they wrote, they were frightened. And right after that, crack flooded New York. Cocaine used to be the high of the rich. Reefer and wine and whiskey was the high of the poor. Then they found a way to touch your pleasure center with cocaine, but putting it in a chemicalized way to compensate for what the brain can't produce under the stress and shock and trauma of the hour. Oh, brother and sister. So now you're a crack addict. One pop, and you're out there now. Man, ooh, I never felt a high like that before. Whoa, what is that? I gotta try that one more time. And one more time leads to one more time. Because you want to keep the pleasure. It's so great to get me out of the pain, which is so great. And so our community is reeling with drugs. And since we are powerless, we've produced a cold generation that's beautiful but powerless. And since Mao Zedong said political power grows out of the barrel of a gun, the children who seek power, when they get the gun in their hand, now I got power. I can determine who will live and who will die. White folk ain't the only one that can determine who live and die. I got that juice now. But you're crazy as hell, imbalanced, seeking the pleasure of power to assuage your pain at the expense of your people, creating more and more and more pain and more and more and more hatred and more and more and more distrust among the family members. A coke addict is a liar.
Go ahead.
A coke addict learns how to lie with skill, would make Satan sit down at his feet and take lessons in lying. Yes. Coke and dope fiends know how to come to their parents playing the game. I mean, you talk about artful deceit and the many faces of a schizophrenic. A dope head can play any part that's necessary to get another hit. So they deceive their mothers, deceive their fathers, deceive their friends to get another hit. Pleasure to get rid of pain, and power in the gun to give me a sense of invincibility. And so the rap artist will smoke that dude. You gonna smoke him, huh? You like that? Boom! And you see him. When you go to the movies today, everything is real. When they pop a person in the head, you see the thing go in, you see the blood fly all across the screen. Say, oh, wow. And the brother wants to imitate that. And really, he's getting pleasure from producing pain. And these mothers carrying their young children to the graveyard.
Right.
Burying their young. And the police ain't got time to see who killed who. It's another nigga gone. So the victims of crime, their breasts are swelling under the heat of the grief of the loss of their child, and a bigger grief that the court system has failed. The police have failed. I know that there are good policemen. Yes, there are good policemen, like there are priests who are good. There are ministers of the gospel who are very good. But unfortunately, society doesn't focus on the ones that are good. Society takes the aberration and makes it not the exception, but the rule. When we want to clean up our community, do you know who we got to fight? Corrupt police. Because corrupt police make money from our disasters. Well, is there a solution? We can end on the solution. Of course there's a solution. I know it's bad, but it's not hopeless. How do you know it's not hopeless? Because in the beginning, darkness covered the earth, and it was without form and void, and God said, let there be light, and he brought light out of darkness. There's no situation too dark that you can't bring light out of it. And just remember, black brothers and sisters, and the whites who are in this audience, it never gets too bad that you should attempt suicide. Because suicide is the act of hopeless people. But as long as you understand that you came from the darkness of your mother's womb into light, and you had light in you while you were yet in the dark, then there is a solution to all the madness and the chaos if you just get quiet. God is forcing us to bow down. Because in reality, he's the only way out. Now let me talk about solutions and we go home. Now, I want to ask you to look at the Muslims. We could be in this place and you could have tables everywhere with reefer, hashish, finest grade of coke, heroin, PCP, quaaludes. You could have it all around here. We'd walk by it like we saw nothing. What's the difference between us and you? We your brother. You know why we don't need drugs? Look at me. I want you to take a good look at your brother. I'm 60. Yeah, I know. Brother looking good. Brother looking good. I know. Wait. Some of you have fallen a long way down since I left New York. But look at your brother. Look at the pressure that's on me. White folk don't like me. Some black folk don't like me. Government after me. Have me under 24-hour surveillance. Do I look worried? I want you to look at your brother. Do I look worried? Why ain't I worried? I see the fall of a world coming down all around me. I got tremendous pressure and stress on me. How come? With all that the press put on me, and black leaders put on me, and black people put on me, and white people put on me, how come I ain't cracking up? How come I'm not looking for a drink or smoke? How come I'm not looking for the Coke man? Things are getting rough. I need a drink. Things are getting bad. I need a Coke. Got to smoke something. Go ahead. Look at the light in my face. I'm lit up from the inside out and got enough light to banish darkness from the face of the earth. What do I need drugs for? Y'all all right? Now listen, solution. Power is in the Word. The Word contains three essentials: light, life, power. You want power? It's not in the gun, it's in God and the Word. Reverend, all of us got the potential to unleash the power in the people if you learn how to unleash the power that is found in the Word. But you can't pussyfoot with the Word of God and preach no business as usual gospel to please the enemy, dance over the scripture, and never come to the real intrinsic value and meaning of the Word. For it is only when you crack the Word, like the cracking of an atom, that you unleash the power that is bound up in the Word. Then you give the human being an inner force that no force coming from without can penetrate me. I'll never bow down. I'm going to say it again. I, Louis Farrakhan, with the help of Almighty God, will never, never, never bow down. You ain't got a gun big enough. My God is sufficient for me. Listen, therefore, we Muslims don't carry any guns. Listen, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad disarmed us. You know why? Because he knew if you had a gun, you get in an argument with your brother, first thing you're going to reach for is your persuader, because you ran out of an intelligent argument. So you kill your family. And that's what you're doing. You're buying guns and you're killing your loved ones in arguments and passion over foolishness. So the Honorable Elijah Muhammad recognized we couldn't handle no gun until we were wise enough to handle ourselves. So he made us get rid of weapons. And I'm telling you, as long as you don't have a God, maybe that'll give you some protection. Because the enemy wants you disarmed to make it easier for him to get rid of us. But we are disarmed, but fully armed. We are fully armed. What are you armed with, Farrakhan? We have put on the whole armor of God. Check the Muslims out. We are no punks. We don't need a gun to make a man out of us or a woman out of us. We challenge guns. Take the gun and whoop your whatever, whatever, whatever. If you got God, you don't need the gun. If you don't have God, pick up whatever you can to help yourself. But I'm asking you, brothers, come to Allah. And if you come to Allah and the word, it will give you power, it will give you life, it will give you light, and you'll be in the world, but not of it, and you won't be bothered, and if you are, you know how to overcome it. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. If you got the shepherd that I got, you don't want for nothing. I'm asking you to pick up my shepherd and put down your gun. Put it away from you. You don't need it. The gun that you need is the gun of truth. And the gun that we need is to begin to reform ourselves, to begin to treat each other right. Then love will come up among us for one another. And when we love each other, the power of that love will produce the unity. Then you ain't got to beg nobody. The unity of us is sufficient to lift us out of any moral, political, economic, social condition that we're in. We got $300 billion in the black community that comes in and goes out. Our love and unity will keep that money floating among ourselves, and we can begin to build an economic structure that will give food, clothing, shelter, jobs for ourselves. You don't have to go beg the white man. The power is in you. If you will rise up to the word and come up out of death to life. We're trying to show white people and all people we're a people of peace. We don't carry so much as a penknife, but the thing that is feared is our unity and the strength of our organization. You and I must work together to make our own community a decent place to live. You know that white folk are not going to clean up the black community. It's going to take you and me, all of us, working together to end the cycle of violence and self-destruction. Do you agree? Well, here's what I want to do. I'm calling on all the men in the audience that live in New York and New Jersey. Look, men, we must make our own communities decent for our women and children and our elderly to walk in. We can do it better than the police. The police are afraid of us because we are off. They're off too. But we are off. And they realize when they come up among us, you know, they shoot first and ask questions later because they don't know where death is coming from. But we come from you. We were yesterday's drug users, drug pushers, yesterday's pimps and hustlers. So we know what you're going through because we went through it. So when we come to you, we don't come to you trying to thug you out of your craziness. But there's a God deep inside you, and you respect people who are morally correct. Some of you don't, but those that don't, you know, they can be easily taught. I'm asking the men, we must clean up and accept discipline and reform. And don't you know, if all the men that are in this place, I'm not trying to change your religion. You want to stay Christian or Baptist or no religion, fine. But come and let's accept a discipline that will straighten us up And then let's mark off Harlem, Brooklyn, block by block. Listen to what I'm saying. And let's go in the hood. Reverend, we got to come out of the church. Muslim minister, we got to come out of the mosque. Because the people that are sick and in need of a doctor are in the street. And if we knock on your door with love, how are you, brother? How are you, sister? I want to talk to you. Nigga, get away from my door with that shit. Now you know some of us gonna act like that. But somebody is gonna welcome you in. Right. And then you begin talking to your people. Take an interest in the children. As FOI, we got a program for all young men. And we got a program for all young women. And when you begin to start teaching the young, have them going down the street drilling, hot, hot, you got the right idea, boot camp, but it ain't just boot camp hollering at young black so-called thugs. You got to have the right word to put in their ear. And so when you go to what you call boot camp, you're not putting in their ear the right word. So you disciplining them with what you think is fear. These are young lions. You can't terrorize them. But with this word, your people will submit. Block by block, we got to make our own community right. Street by street. Men, if we do it, our women will have a reason to really love us again. They'll have a reason to honor us again, because they will be able to walk the streets in peace and security. Men, these beautiful women, we must allow them to grow. Fathers, you can't take off your daughters. Uncles, you can't abuse your nieces. You see, when you do that, the penalty in the Islamic world is death. When you rape a woman, you have killed something in her that she can never give to the man that she loves, except God intervenes to heal her wounded soul. So when you rape a woman, you've already killed her, so the punishment is death. When you feed death to the public, we shouldn't be weak to take a life that has offended the life of the society. You say, well, we need to rehabilitate. You don't rehabilitate Manson. You kill him. You don't have no more Mansons. Farrakhan, are you for the death penalty? In certain cases, definitely. But my people have been under such injustice that you must allow us to teach them first. Right. And then if they still persist, and kill all who violate the divine law, cut them down. You know why? I know some of you just weak. But in our world of Islam, when somebody rapes a woman, they don't hold him for 12 years in no long, time. And some of the modernists and humanists say this is archaic, this is terrible, you shouldn't do these things. But in Saudi Arabia, it's a very nice society. Ain't got too much stealing going on. Now, they don't have democracy. but there ain't too much raping going on. I was over there once when there was some raping went on. Oh, man. The people came out in a stadium. See, they don't kill you behind the door. A few people in a sanitized room. So-and-so died at 12:01 tonight. He had so many and so many jolts. The whole country would see your jolts. Right. Because every time you kill one, somebody in the audience got that same thought that that one is dying for. That straightened them up right away. You know, the rapist, they brought the rapist out in the stadium. Think about that. About 40,000 people in the stadium and others watching by TV. The ratings were up that night. They kneel down, hand behind their back. Big, beautiful black brother came out, gleaming big arm, scimitar, sword in his hand. He just poked him in the side. Boop. And when he poked him in the side, that's the poke chop. Poke, chop. That's the only poke chop we believe in. Poke, chop. And when that head rolled, the people hollered, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, meaning God is great. Here's one that offended a woman and offended society. So the law says death. And somebody else watching may have seen a woman. He said, woo, I'm gonna get her. But when he saw that head roll, he said, woo, I better cool this out. So that's Islamic law. Our people need good teaching, and then our people need opportunities for an alternative lifestyle. And I believe that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, whether you like him or not, that man gave us something that would pull us up and make us strong enough to avoid the stress of this world. So I'm asking all the men, will you come and unite with me, and let's go to work and try to make our community a decent place to live. All the men that would like to unite with me would just stand on your feet and let's get busy and clean up our community. Look at the men. Look at the men. Don't put that camera on me. Put the camera on the men. Brothers, are you ready? Oh man, look at this. Give the brothers a hand. You're not just standing up, are you? You serious? Oh, brother. Thank you. Would you sit down? In your seat. I hope when you got in there was a card. Fill it out. We're going to be in touch with you right after this meeting is over. I'm not asking you to join a religion now. If you want to become a part of the nation, fine, that's good. But if you like your church, it don't make any difference. Come and be a disciplined Christian. And we are disciplined Muslims. And together, a disciplined Hebrew, together, disciplined nationalists, together, we make our own community safe. Let's do it, brothers and sisters, before the wrath of God and the forces of evil come down on our community. I have enjoyed immensely being in this house with you, but I don't want to leave the sisters out. Don't rush to the doors, brothers and sisters, please, because the family that prays together is going to stay together. But to our sisters who are in the audience and our brothers, how many of you that heard what I had to say today believe that what you heard Brother Farrakhan say, that it is true and is good for us as a people, and if it is adhered to, it will stop the violence and the killing among our people? How many of you believe that? Would you raise your hands up? Thank you. Then if you will fill those cards out, if you will allow me to come back, Minister Conrad, yes, sir. Minister Kadir, Minister Kadir is the minister in Newark, New Jersey, and it's about the best mosque in the Nation of Islam is right there in Newark, New Jersey, under Minister Kadir. I would like to come back. It's very expensive here at the Javits Center. Maybe the Javits Center will be kind to us the next time. And maybe the union will see the value of us and kind of, you know, drop the price a little bit. You really made it a little hard for us this time, but thank you anyway for allowing us the privilege to come into this beautiful place and talk to our beautiful people. Well, brothers and sisters, I don't like to leave you because I just got home and I see so many faces of so many wonderful people. You know, the apple is still the apple, brother. I don't care how many worms are in it. It's still the apple. New York, if you and I would do that in New York, do you know you would start a movement all across this country that would give hope to black people all over America and the world that we can stop the killing and the violence. Thank you for listening. Thank you for your attention. Thank you for your attendance. Can we have prayer together? Brothers and sisters, on your way out after prayer, my first ever book that I wrote is on sale. It's called A Torchlight for America. Get it? There's a lot of solutions in here that I would like your feedback on. Second, there are products for sale. You can get the tape of today's lecture, and you can get the Honorable Elijah Muhammad himself speaking on national educational television. Parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 of a 4 or 6 hour interview that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad gave back in the late 60s. It's on sale on the way out. Another video is called The Attack on Black Youth, and the audio is also there. And there's a beautiful portrait of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And if you don't have a picture of this great man in your home, please take him home with you today. There's also a picture of Brother Farrakhan, a poster picture, and there is a picture of Brother Farrakhan with his violin. Now don't get thrown by that violin now, because if you saw David with his harp in his hand, you wouldn't say, oh, look at David the punk. He's playing that harp. David was a warrior. David was a prophet. David was a teacher, a general, and a wonderful musician. I don't mind walking in his noble footsteps. And also, there's a 1993 Savior's Day t-shirt where we paid honor to the gangs in Los Angeles and the truce that they made to stop the killing of each other. All of these products you can get on your way out. And of course, we have initiated the 3-year economic savings plan of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, which will allow us to buy acres of farmland and begin producing an economic solution to our economic problems. You want to read about it, and if you care to, help me make this a reality. And of course, in this same building, downstairs, the beginning of the celebration of Kwanzaa. So don't leave and not support Kwanzaa. So tonight, tomorrow, and last night, Kwanzaa. I think it'll be here for how many nights? Tomorrow night. Please come back and support. And when? And Monday too. Kwanzaa is ours. So let's support it. And support the brothers and sisters, the vendors that you see that have placed their goods down there for us to buy. Oh, I forgot something. The vendors on 125th Street. Listen, I wish the press was still here. But did you know that 100 years ago, many of the Jews and Italians that came to this country set up their push carts in the streets of the Lower East Side, and right in the downtown section, many of the Jews set up their push carts too. And the merchants in that day fought those that were in the streets, for they felt that they were robbing the big stores of business. At the turn of the century, this was going on. The Jews and the Italians and others prevailed. And now, of course, many of the merchants that had push carts in that day are the store owners of today. And the brothers and sisters on 125th Street, rather than lie and cheat and steal and sell drugs, those brothers and sisters are young entrepreneurs, and they're not robbing white folk. The black community and the black dollars in the community belong to us. So why fight the merchants on 125th Street for only trying to keep the dollars in the black community so that we can build our community up? So to use the police and others to drive these brothers and sisters from the street is a terrible injustice, and all of us need to support those brothers and sisters on 125th Street. And if it's the will of Allah, before I leave New York, I'd like to just stop by some of the vendors on 125th Street. So I'm going to run over here to where the brothers and sisters are seated right after prayer. And those persons that have been invited, oh yes, excuse me, where's my brother? Oh brother, come forward please. This is our brother Norman, his Muslim name, Muhammad Aziz. This is a brother that was falsely accused of the murder of Malcolm X. and spent 26 years of his life in prison for a crime that the government knows he had nothing to do with. He took lie detector tests, was on television, and they realized he's an innocent man. But they had to make the lies stick that the nation killed Malcolm X. I can't say that some members of the nation were not involved, but I know that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad told us, leave Malcolm alone. As long as Allah causes me to suffer from his mouth, leave it to Allah. And those of us who loved Elijah Muhammad and were obedient to him left Malcolm alone. This brother did no harm to Malcolm, but was viciously sent away, he and another brother who had nothing to do with it, because they wanted to make the lies stick. But he's alive and well and strong and knowledgeable and determined, and by the help of Almighty God, he will help us discipline the streets and make our community a decent place to live. Muhammad Aziz, let's hear it for our brother. Come on, brother Muhammad. Man. Oh, brother, it's an honor to see you. Oh, man, yes. This is my first time seeing brother in many, many years. I visited him. What prison was that, Greenhaven or Attica? Greenhaven. All praise is due to Allah. Thank you. My chief of staff is saying that there are people who are trying to get out of the building. We have gone over the time, and they're trying to work with us without charging us, and we really appreciate it. Let's give the Javits Center and the people a hand. And you know, brothers and sisters, can I tell you this? When they know me better, they will be happy to see me come again and again, and they will open all kind of doors to help me, because in helping me, they're really helping themselves as well. So family, thank you. Mr. Walsh,
thank you.
I want to thank you for honoring us with your presence. This is Commissioner Walsh. He's always been a friend of the Nation of Islam, and we thank you, Commissioner Walsh. It's an honor to see you again. And to all of my Muslim brothers and sisters, would you like to meet my wife?
Yeah, yeah.
This is the sister who helps keep Brother Farrakhan fit. And I thank Allah for her, and the wife of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is here, Sister Tynetta Muhammad, Sister Evelyn Muhammad. Come forward, please. And all my family that's down in front, my daughters, my sons-in-law, my grandchildren, Barbara Ann Tier, my dear and beloved friend, Sister Farida, and all the Muslims that I see. I just wish I could just see you and hold you and hug you. Man, I'm telling you, you look so good to me. Thank you. Let's have prayer. I will say this prayer in Arabic and in English. قل أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the Day of Judgment. Thee alone do we serve, thine aid we seek. Guide us on the straight path, the path of those upon whom you have bestowed favors, not the path of those upon whom your wrath is brought down, nor of those who go astray. Say he, Allah is one God. Allah is he of whom nothing is independent, but upon whom we all depend. He begets not, nor is he begotten, and there is none like him. I bear witness that nothing deserves to be served or worshipped beside Allah. And I bear witness that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah. Ameen. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest. Brothers and sisters, go in peace. Susan Taylor, where's Susan? Susan, it's a pleasure to see you. Thank you for coming. Where's Flavor Flav? Right there. Where? Flavor Flav. Glad to see you, brother. Stay strong. Stay strong. Thank you. May Allah bless you all. Assalamu alaikum.
Let's hear it, brothers and sisters, for the Honorable Louis Farrakhan. This has been a great homecoming, hasn't it? Brothers and sisters, the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, as he said, is going to come over to the next auditorium and greet the people. Please remain seated. Please allow him to come over and give you the greeting. And those of you that are leaving, please try to maintain some semblance of order so we can protect our leader and teacher and all of you. I thank you, brothers and sisters, and please, if you would like to help the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in this life-enriching, life-saving work, please come to Muhammad Mosque number 7 every Sunday afternoon at 2:00 p.m. Brothers and sisters, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan will be over there in one moment. Those of you that are listening on closed-circuit television, please hold your positions. He will be there with you in one moment just to greet you. Brothers and sisters, again, Muhammad Mosque number 7 is located at 2033 Fifth Avenue in Harlem, and that's at 125th and 5th Avenue.